Hi everybody, it's Donna here from Purple Pinky Promises, and I have a fun little project for you today. I am going to use up that HoneyBee foiled card front that I showed you previously in another video when I did that rainbow foiling project. I showed you how the speckled aura looked so beautiful with these bees, and so I decided to take that card front that I had hot foiled and create a card with it. We're using the HoneyBee Stamps A2 hot foil plate, the bees A2 hot foil plate, and I have used the Waffle flower Lacy layer ovals, the Lacy ovals set, and I have die cut that oval out of it to create kind of a frame. And we're also using the lovely Layers Wildflower dies from HoneyBee Stamps. And I'm showing you here which flower we're working with today. So hopefully that's got me caught up to where we're at in this video. It moves a little fast, so I can't keep up. All right, we're using Catherine Pooler inks to ink up our flower here. We're just going to start with the stems, and we're using grass skirt. So as you can see, when I'm inking this up, I am inking it up darker in some places, and I'm kind of leaving it light in others to give it some highlighting and some depth. And I'm going to continue with this inking process all the way to all of these bits and pieces. This ring, we're using Limoncello from Catherine Pooler Designs. And there's another piece that we're going to leave blank. But before we do that, I'm going to take this flower front, and I'm actually going to come back to it here in a second. And I'm going to ink it up yellow, but first I'm going to get the most center point of that flower and get it green with that grass skirt that I have still left on my brush. All right, coming back to that flower, the top flower, we're going to just lightly brush it, and you'll see as I show you a little bit closer that it's just a little yellow, light yellow around those edges, and it's pretty. It gives it a nice little soft touch instead of leaving it stark white. Okay. Excuse my frog in my throat. So we also have this other piece that you can center and layer up with it. You don't have to use it, but I believe I do decide to use it later on as we layer this up. Okay, this is Serenade from Catherine Pooler Designs. And I don't include this whole inking process. I have decided that you basically get it. You get the point of all of this. And so I just skip forward to the end and show you the final product. So our next step here, moving on, is to kind of ink up the edges around that foil plate front. Well, not the foil plate front, but the card front, the frame. I'm inking the edges just very lightly, going all the way around, barely getting those edges, just to give it a little touch of color, because this is going to cover the whole front of the card. We're not going to layer anything behind it, so I just thought some ink would look really nice around those edges. All right. If I've missed anything so far product-wise, the description of all the products are listed in the description below. And if it's on Facebook, it's actually above. So I always forget to mention that. Now we have used some foam tape on this to give it a little bit of lift. And this is really kind of interesting, this whole process. And I do want to mention, if you put tape over your foiling, you could lose some of it. So that's just a little FYI. Be careful if you're putting tape on your project and it's foil. All right. So I put this back on. I tape it back on so I know exactly where this is going to need to go just to get it centered properly. And I set it down inside of there. This next thing that happens is it's kind of comical. I wrestled with this card front and getting it on. So now you notice that there's no tape on there. I have not pulled off the tape yet from the foam. And I got this brilliant idea. Oh, I'm going to leave this tape on and then just bring it down. Oh, why don't I do that? So I started to do that and I picked it up, and that's where I went wrong. So if you're going to do this, don't pick it up. Leave it down. That's what happened. It just made it go wonky and every which way. So there, I'm like, what am I doing? So I ended up just putting it on there going, finally. So just a little note of, just to make sure that if you do that process, it's kind of neat to create a little hinge so that you can just bring it down. Just don't pick it up. Leave it sitting down to do that so that it doesn't go every which way. All right, we're placing our flower on there and just getting it set down inside of there. And then we'll layer it all together. I do love the Barely Art glue because the Barely Art glue actually has that very thin applicator, and it comes with every bottle that you purchase. Okay, there is foam on the back of this. I just spared you the boredom of watching me put foam on the back of it, but there is foam on the back of this flower front. And that's that centerpiece that I was telling you about. And you don't have to put it on there. That's completely up to you, but I just like the way it looked as it layered. So there you have it. I want to add something to this. I am very tool, I'm challenged with tools. I'm kind of actually surprised that I actually even got this on with this tool. So that's the HoneyBee Stamps reversible tweezers. I am tool challenged. So I'm not very good with tweezers. It's so funny, you'll see here later in the video where I use those tweezers to put some of those jewels on. I'll tell you about that when I think that's next, actually. I had tried to decide if I wanted to use the Sunshine or this is the Emerald City, and I decided to go with those emerald ones, and I just love them on those stems. They turned out really pretty. So I did pick up, I think my first one I picked up with the tweezers, and I was lucky. I actually had some luck with them. But I have this continual fear that if I pick something up with tweezers, whatever it is going to slip out and go flying across the room, because that's my experience with tools. I'm just not very good with them. So that's why I switched over to using my fingers, because I had that fear that they would go flying across the room. So there we go. And now our gems are on. And just shoring it up. Here's a look at what we've got so far. All right, now we're moving forward. Maybe so. And I'm choosing my sentiment. This sentiment is actually from the HoneyBee stamps. It's the Just Because stamp set. And I went ahead and decided I wanted to use Just Because. I did stamp it several times because that was the first time I used that stamp, and it was not conditioned, and it just needed to be stamped several times before I actually ended up using it. So something interesting that I did here, I basically just cut my sentiment off, and I'm not very good at cutting straight. So when I do this, I usually have a reason that I'm not using some kind of die or punch or something. So that's why I ended up just kind of cutting it at an angle. Now, some people like that. And I liked it, but I wasn't quite sure I really liked it right there at the bottom of my frame. I wasn't sure if I really liked it the way it sat on the card. I inked it up around the edges to kind of see if that maybe would help it a little bit. And it really didn't help me much at all. But that is popped up with foam on most of it, and then a little bit of glue behind the bottom part. So I added some, some ribbon, some lilac ribbon here. And yeah, so I just decided that that kind of helped offset that angle that was bothering me. So I went ahead and did that. Okay, that's it, folks. Thanks for stopping by and giving us a watch. Take care. Bye-bye.